It's about faith to believe. It's about hope to receive. It's about love to give life. It's about transplant life with me, Miss Vinnie. Hey everyone, it's Miss Vinnie. March is National Kidney Month. So this week on About Transplant Life, I am honored to share the incredible story of my dear friend, Dr. Somone Washington. Simone's story begins as a healthy and vibrant 25-year-old woman who had just finished graduate school and was living her best life down in Miami, Florida. Suddenly, Somone became very, very sick and immediately diagnosed with end-stage renal failure. She was placed on dialysis and added to the kidney transplant list. On November 17, 2010, Somone Washington received a second chance at life in the form of a kidney transplant. Sadly, an 18-year-old young man lost his life to gun violence, and his family made the generous decision to say yes to organ donation. That very generous gift literally saved her life and propelled Somone Washington into her purpose as a kidney transplant warrior. We became great friends, raising awareness about the importance of organ, eye, and tissue donation as One Legacy ambassadors. Dr. Somone was one of my very first guests on About Transplant Life live on Instagram in 2023. And she recently shared her incredible story on our stage live at Pasadena Media Studios. Now, Dr. Somone Washington is the author of The Best of All Things, a tapestry of faith, hope, resilience, and the human connection. And we are going to talk about it. Hey everyone, welcome to About Transplant Life TV from Pasadena, California. I am your host, Miss Vinnie. 10 years ago, I became a grateful heart transplant recipient with the miraculous story to share with you about the power of love. When someone is in need of a life-saving organ transplant, love rushes in to rescue them. The kind of love that it takes to be a prayerful caregiver, a dedicated medical professional, or to become a registered organ donor. These are the passionate stories that we share on About Transplant Life. Today, we are honoring my beautiful friend. She is a young professional whom I greatly admire. She has an incredible purpose-filled story of love. She is an entrepreneur, an organ donation advocate, and she is the author of her new best-selling book titled The Best of All Things. And not only that, she is also a thriving kidney transplant recipient, and we're going to talk about it. Please give a warm welcome to my dear friend and first-time author, Dr. Somone Washington.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
About Transplant Life.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You're absolutely welcome. I was looking forward to this day. We've been friends for quite a while now.
Yes.
And we both have this beautiful passion for purple.
Yes.
Which is obvious today.
Yes.
But we first met a few years ago when we were both One Legacy ambassadors, right?
Yes.
When did you become a One Legacy ambassador?
I would say around 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there.
So I became an ambassador in 2016.
Okay.
And what One Legacy is, it's the bridge between donors and hospitals. It's the largest organ procurement organization in the country, as a matter of fact, in the world actually, here in Southern California. And as ambassadors, we work together.
Yes.
raising awareness about
Yes.
the importance of organ tissue donation on many occasions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was an honored writer on the Donate Life Rose Parade float in the Rose Parade in
Yes.
2020. And
Yes.
you were a writer. What year?
2024.
2024.
Yes.
So that was just last year. What was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. I felt like royalty. They really treated us so well, and it was such an honor to represent our community of recipients and donors. It's just a special community, and just another way that we can raise awareness of the importance of registering as an organ and tissue donor.
That's right.
And just another way to spotlight putting a face to that cause. So when people are not sure if they want to register, maybe they don't know anyone, so it's not as important to them. Seeing us in the parade or getting to know us at our tabling events out in the community helps put a face to the cause, and it really helps people reconsider their decision to register.
Particularly people in the African American community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes we have been historically hesitant to say yes to organ donation, but truly your story shines a light on the fact that organ donation saves lives, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Transplant Life. You ready?
Yes, let's get into it.
Okay, Miss Somone. Dr. Somone, excuse me. I got to get used to that. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, so you were 24 years old, you told me, and all of a sudden you found yourself in need of emergency dialysis. Let's talk about that. What year was that?
So that was back in 2004. And so before this happened, I was a thriving 24-year-old. I had just finished graduate school. I had just started my brand new job. I was really excited about it. I was living on my own. I had my own apartment, my own car, hanging out with friends and just enjoying life as a young person would, living in Miami, Florida. That's where I'm born and raised.
Oh, okay.
And just all of a sudden one day I got really thirsty, and so I kept drinking a lot of water and juice, just whatever I can find. And I couldn't do anything to quench my thirst. And also I couldn't keep any food down. And then I started retaining water
Just
in
all
my
of a
body.
sudden, you didn't have any other symptoms prior to that?
So prior to this, I was a healthy person. I had never needed to go to the hospital for any reason. Nothing outside of the common cold over the years. So this is truly out of nowhere.
Wow.
And so I went to a local clinic to be seen because I was only on my new job a couple months. So I didn't have medical coverage yet. I would have gotten coverage in another month or so. So I went to a local clinic. They gave me some antibiotics, and they told me if it didn't help in 2 weeks that, to come back. And so the 2 weeks passed. I didn't feel any better. And instead of going back to the clinic, I just asked my mom to take me to the emergency room.
It was that bad?
Yes. And because I didn't have medical coverage, I had to wait several hours before I was seen. So I got there around noon, and I wasn't actually seen by a doctor until 10 a.m. the next morning.
Girl, all hospitals ain't good hospitals. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to put it out there. Because I have been in almost every hospital in Southern California. Some were good, some were bad, some were terrifying. And so these are the things that we go through in our transplant journey. And you were so young. So what was the diagnosis?
So I was at the top hospital in Miami, Florida. It's just that because I didn't have medical coverage, I wasn't seen as a priority, and that's why I had to wait so long. But as soon as I was seen by a doctor the next morning, everything was a rush. They checked my vitals and did all the things, and the diagnosis was end-stage renal failure.
End-stage renal failure.
Yes.
All of a sudden, that's awful.
So my kidneys were working together at 10%.
Wow, it's a good thing you did go to the hospital.
Yes.
So you had to have emergency dialysis right then and there, right?
Yes, so they had to put an emergency catheter in my neck to start emergency dialysis. And then there was another emergency catheter put in my chest until the fistula in my arm was surgically created, and then 6 weeks to heal before we could use it for
So
dialysis.
what's going through your minds, Dr. Somone, when they're putting all of these needles in your neck, in your chest, and everything? What is going through your mind when you're doing this? And I understand that you were alone at the time too, right?
Yes, so I was terrified. I didn't know if I was going to live or not. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what it meant to have end-stage renal failure. And yeah, I was scared. I was afraid for my life.
So how important was your faith at this time during this difficult journey, would you say?
Well, to be totally honest, once I got that diagnosis, my first thought was I was afraid. And although I was a God-fearing woman, I didn't have a lot of faith in that moment. And so later on, when I started dialysis, God put people around me to speak words into me. So the technicians that were putting me on the machines, the charge nurse, they were all saying, "Oh, you're so young. You have such a great spirit. You don't belong here. The Lord is going to heal you. You're not going to be here long."
Them healing words work, y'all.
Yes.
Them healing words work.
And they kept speaking over me, and they kept being positive and kept being kind. And that really helped to develop my faith to the point where I could then speak those things over myself and believe God for his healing. But to be honest, the first time I heard the diagnosis, my faith wasn't there.
Girl, and that, but because you're human, you know, and your first response is, it's shocking to hear something like that, to go from being healthy to needing emergency dialysis.
Yes.
That's a traumatic event.
Yes.
And so we went to dialysis for how long?
I was on dialysis for 14 months, which is a relatively short time compared to other people who unfortunately have to be on dialysis for years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the transplant waiting list is a very long, it can be very long time. So, Dr. Somone,
yes,
tell us what the average day was like for you when you were on dialysis.
So, by the time I was on dialysis, I had switched roles or
occupations.
Yes.
Okay.
And so by then I was an elementary school teacher, and so I would go to work, and then after work I would go to treatment, which was 4 hours. And by that time, it's just time to go home.
You was too pooped to party after that.
Yes.
So did you go to dialysis every day?
I went on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Oh.
Yes. So by the time I finished treatment, I was tired, and so I just went home to sleep so I can be ready for the kids the next day. And then even though I didn't have treatment the next day, I was so tired from doing it before. So yeah, there was not much of a social life at that time.
No social life. So how did that affect you emotionally?
So while on dialysis, one thing that many people don't know is that your skin darkens. So my skin was darker.
Like a lot darker than your normal
color? A lot darker.
Really?
And not that darker skin is a problem. It's it just looked unhealthy. Like you could tell that I was going through some sort of treatment. And then my arm was bandaged up most of the time because of being on and off the machine. And so my self-esteem was really low. I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel that anyone would want to date me because I would be seen as a burden because of my medical situation. And so that led me to just accept anyone who paid any sort of attention to me, which led to some really bad decisions.
Yeah, but those are lessons that we all go through, and we learn from them, right?
Yes.
That's right. So when did you receive your life-saving kidney transplant? Tell us about that.
So it was in November of 2010. And so I had been cleared to be on the transplant wait list back in September of the same year.
Okay.
And so over the course of those few months, I had gotten several calls saying that there's a possible match. And when I went through the process of going to give the blood work and then going back home to wait for the results, they would call to say that I wasn't a match. And so that happened about 6 times.
That had to be absolutely devastating, though, to think, okay, finally I'm going to get this kidney transplant, and then it's not a match.
Yes, it was It was an emotional roller coaster every time they called. And by the fourth time, I was just kind of going through the motions of going to do the blood work and coming back home. And a lot of the times I just I wasn't excited to hear back from them anymore because they had already said so many other times that it wasn't a match.
But this time it was a match.
Yes. So one evening I was just at home watching a movie, and it was around 9:30 at night, and I got a call to say, Miss Washington, we have a match. Come down to the hospital by midnight so you can check in for your surgery.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
So how did this affect your family? I know you were alone most of the time because you were alone in Miami, right? And your family lives where?
So my parents had retired and moved to Georgia, and so that's where they were. And so it just happened that the night of the call, I tried to reach out to my parents and some friends, and just no one answered the phone at that time. So what I did was I changed my voicemail message to let people know where I was, and I put a message on Facebook to let people know where I was, and I headed to the hospital.
Wow. So you received your kidney transplant. Do you know anything about your organ donor?
Yes. He's an 18-year-old young man who lost his life due to a gunshot wound to the head, and his family decided to donate. And so I was 30 at the time, and so the kidney that I received was only 18 years old.
It was only 18 years old. How did it make you feel when you first heard his story?
It made me sad because I can't imagine what his family had gone through losing him, and I just can't imagine making this decision in that moment. And so as I'm talking to people and encouraging them and educating them on the importance of making this decision, I also share that you want to make this decision for yourself and share it with your loved ones. So in the case that something happens, that your family members aren't put in a situation where they have to make such a difficult decision at such a difficult time.
Yeah. Love rushes in to rescue you. Love rushed in to rescue, and we're so happy about that.
Yes.
So I think I asked you how important your faith was during this journey, and you said it took a while.
Yes.
It took a while.
Yes.
But now you are an author of the best-selling book, The Best of All Things. Yes. And you talk about faith quite a bit in your book. Tell us about your book and why you decided to write it.
I think that part of the reason why my journey is the way that it is, and there were moments of me being alone, I think God was using those times as opportunities for me to focus on Him. And so if more people were around, my story would be, I'm grateful for them to support me. And I just believe that God wanted the opportunity to have my attention, and so that my story is what got me through is God being by my side. And it did develop this habit of me saying, whenever I'm going through a difficult situation, I'll say, okay, it's me and you, God, we got this. And I still say that to myself when I'm going into something that I know that will be challenging. I still say that to myself, and it gives me a renewed energy and strength to get through whatever it is.
That's beautiful. Why did you call it The Best of All Things, though?
Well, you'll really have to read to the end to see how that ties in. But the subtitle is A Tapestry of Faith, Hope, Resilience, and the Human Connection. And so as you're reading through and getting more details about my story, you'll really see how all of those topics and ideas really do weave through my story. And the human connection is the importance of us reimagining what we know to be leaving a legacy. Most of the time when people are talking about what it means to leave a legacy, they're talking about finances and properties that they might want to leave to their kids or loved ones. But I'm challenging people to reconsider what it means to leave a legacy, and it can be in saying yes, that you want to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor, so you can save lives and enhance lives, and that could be a wonderful legacy to leave as well.
Girl, that's so powerful. You know, one of the things, and we used to go out all the time, right? Like every week we would have an event, you know.
Yes.
That's a good thing about being a World Legacy Ambassador. We did a lot of events, right?
Yes.
And you still are active, right?
Yes, I am.
Because I retired last year in May of 2024. And I would always tell people that organ donation is the new normal. It's a way that your life doesn't end, but it begins again in someone else.
Yes.
And what better legacy to leave in the earth is the opportunity for someone else to have a second chance at life.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's why I think your book is so powerful and so important, you know, and I just want to encourage everyone to get a copy of this incredible book. So what's next for you? You got some book tours coming up. What's going on?
Yes, there are so many opportunities to share the book, so many book discussions to have. I look forward to connecting with as many people as I can. I've dedicated the book to people who are currently on dialysis because I know that the longer you're on dialysis, some people do lose hope. And so my goal is to get this book in the hands of as many dialysis patients as possible, to just continue to encourage them and speak those positive words over them in the way that, you know, people did when I was on dialysis. And so I'm really looking to partner with dialysis centers to get this book in their hands.
Like to do like workshops at the centers or something like that?
Absolutely. Whatever I'm allowed to do, I would love to do that.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Somone Washington, for sitting in the chair at About Transplant Life. You know, we are really good friends, and so I look forward to helping you promote the book. I'll do anything to help you promote it, you know.
Thank you.
To share that story, because I know that it's not just a book that you wrote, but it's a life that you lived.
Yes.
And you put a lot of love into it, and that's what we're all about at About Transplant Life. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And the purple is slamming.
Well, you know.
I don't know if y'all can get a shot of her shoes, but the shoes are kicking. You know.
Thank you.
There's purplicious up in here.
Thank you.
For more information about the author, Dr. Somone Washington, please visit her Facebook page, which is Somone Washington, right?
Yes.
She's on Facebook and Instagram as Somone Washington, and it's SOMONE, Somone.
Yes.
It'll be on the screen, Washington. And you can get information on her next book opportunities, like book tours and stuff like that, and where you could buy the book. So thank you so much for doing that.
Sure.
And also remember, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more information about Transplant Life. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. May God bless you. May God protect you and provide for you. Peace. After the show, Dr. Somone helped me give a wonderful surprise to my son, Tony. Check it out. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge my wonderful son, Tony. I always call him that. His name is Anthony Owens, and he is the foundation of everything that I do at About Transplant Life and beyond. You know, I could not do any of this work without him. He is an incredible young man. He is nice. He is talented. He is intelligent. He is creative. He is all the wonderful things, all the wonderful adjectives I can think of. And he recently celebrated a birthday. So I just wanted to take this moment to say happy birthday to my wonderful son, Tony. We have a little surprise for you, Tony, presented by my dear friend, Somone. So will you help me sing happy birthday, Robert, to my wonderful son, Tony? Okay, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tony. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Thank you for all you do, son. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Say yes. For more information on how you can become a registered organ donor, please visit abouttransplantlife.com.